Episode 3, Chapter 2, NOS4A22, New Land. Millie and Wayne created a new land together by their own imagination. It is their safe place they can go to. They got there by hugging each other in the snow while they went to sleep, staying warm and talking about Dreamland. There is a good way and a bad way to leave, but they weren't thinking of leaving. Not in those times, when they were first building upon what they had just made. In these times, Wayne's mother, Victoria McQueen, had just visited him and Millie in the spirit within their new land of paradise. Vic would be able to follow them anywhere they could go, but could only appear for a short interval each time she would visit. Ectoplasm only lasted for so long uncontained beyond the spirit realm. Although the essence was in constant supply beyond the living world, the earth could not naturally sustain this type of energy in the air we breathe. There's a different kind of air in the spirit realm. The spirit world has areas lit up and places covered in shadow, same as the earth. The places of light and dark met on opposite ends within Millie's land of paradise, and the lines were blurred as to where they met and differed. It could be that there was such a blurred sense of what was right and wrong within the minds of Millie and Wayne that the pathways of and to the light, as well as the dark, were conjoined in such a way that they met in the middle, which was paradise. These were the paths of the flesh, which led to good and bad things for children as they grow into young women and men. In a way and manner of speaking, you could say that Millie and Wayne had created their own proverbial crossroads by their own imaginative construction. It was time for Millie and Wayne to build and expand on what they had built. They wanted to have a place of their own, and also to be surrounded by people who were like-minded individuals. One night, Wayne had an intense dream that surely was a vision. This vision was his own mind telling himself that there had to be like-minded individuals who would be able to build along with Millie and himself. This was such a wonderful idea that became implanted in his waking mind from his dream visions that he woke with excitement to tell Millie what he supposed. "Millie, I had the most amazing dream. It gave me the idea what to do to help you live the life of your dreams, so we won't be alone in our paradise." "Oh, Wayne, you're lucky. I can't remember my dream from last night, but I think it was good." "What did you dream?" "Well, it was real simple. I was seeing myself talking to my mom again, but I don't know exactly what we were saying, because it was like I was watching, up from above and a little away. I didn't realize it until now, but I guess I was flying. Well, not flying, but floating." "Wow! I always wanted to have more dreams like that. You're so lucky. But what does this have to do with what you said? What else happened?" "I'm getting to it. Okay, so I don't know what the heck my mom told me, but whatever she said, it looked like she told me to go do something. A lot of stuff happened in the middle of my dream. I went somewhere. Not just somewhere, but a lot of places. Then before I woke up, I saw that we were bringing happy people to our paradise. Not only that, but they were building our paradise into a really cool city. Oh, wow! This is really going to happen." "I think so, Millie. I really think so. It's why I dreamed about it. Yes, I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it, Wayne." "Yeah, I think my mom was telling me about how to find more good people like us. It was to be it. I just know I'm missing something important. Like what not to do. I wish I could remember. Well, let's wait to talk to your mom if we can talk about it with her. Good idea. Yeah, I don't want to go looking for people the wrong way. Yeah, that could be dangerous. Very dangerous. So Millie and Wayne had a good idea of things to come by the dream, and their morning talk about the vision, along with their shared thoughts of the matter. As they went about their day, building the home of their dreams by the beach, Millie and Wayne talked of how nice it would be to have neighbors that were like them. They patiently waited for Wayne's mother to return, but she didn't come during the entire time they built their home. Millie stood on the side, which would be the front of their house. It faced the mountains. Wayne stood along the shoreline of the beach. They built straight from their minds, straight out of their imagination, and did it with ease, miraculously. They were showcasing their talents as superior, strong creatives. Wayne now was older than the age of his mother Vic when she was learning of her talents as a strong creative. Maggie the librarian was somehow alive and stronger than ever. She had learned that she didn't need a knife anymore physically because her mind had become her knife. A knife was only a tool to be used as an instrument for the weaker, strong creatives that were young in practicing their talents as a newer, strong creative. She spent her time learning her own way to deeply focus and meditate as a strong creative. Her mind now was a sharp knife. She knew that this was the way Charlie Manx mastered his ways as a strong creative, and had learned this was true by visiting Millie in her dreams. Millie wasn't remembering her dreams on purpose, because it was a self-defense mechanism. This protected her from continuous trauma that Maggie knew would be very much unnecessary. Maggie learned what she needed to learn to help the best she could and went out of her way, exhausting her strong creative energy to protect not just Wayne, but Millie. Maggie felt deep compassion for Millie and related to her very much so. Maggie practiced and studied at great lengths to protect Millie's mind and to help her do her best to become the good person she knew was in there all along. The one thing Maggie made sure to do was to help Millie memorize the names of the good people who were strong creatives that could potentially become a part of Millie's land of paradise. This was something that Maggie knew must happen to keep the balance healthy between light and dark so that evil could never take over. Maggie felt very strongly that the evil was compelled to take over, now that there was this time of vulnerability between the gathered strong creatives, who were evil, compared to the scattered good ones, who were made weak by mostly not knowing of each other. Millie and Wayne fell asleep in their new home by the beach, waiting for Vic's spirit, Wayne's mother, to return. In this time, this is what needed to happen so that Maggie could speak to Millie and Vic. Visited them in this dream vision meeting. Millie woke with the many names burned in her mind. She felt good and was filled with a brightness that shined from her like never before. Never in her life had Millie ever been filled with such a hope that was not just a hope for hope. For once she knew. Millie finally felt that she knew her life wasn't a waste or some nightmare like what her late father made it out to be. Wayne, I remembered my dream. For once, I remember. Since we were talking about it, I guess that helped. But no, not only that, your mom visited me with Maggie, along with Maggie. Now you're the real lucky one. What happened? Well, don't get too excited. All I remember are names. Maggie made me remember all these names. Your mom helped me remember because she made sure I knew how important this is. These are names of people you saw who can help us and become our neighbors here in our land of paradise. Well, that's cool. I wish my mom and Maggie could help us more, like where they are or how to get to them. I don't think we should leave this place until we really know which way to go. Yes, right now, we should try to find the right way to leave here without getting caught or getting lost again. If we get lost this time, I am so scared we might not be able to find our way back. I can't imagine how horrible that would be. Yeah, let's write these names down and do things one at a time. I mean, we just got here. Yeah, let's enjoy this. That's what we're gonna do. I'm just scared that if we don't find these people soon, we won't be able to enjoy anything. Your mom made sure to stress the importance of these people. Oh, well, I hope my mom visits soon. Just as Wayne said this, Vic showed up in the mirror as the sunlight was shining in the back sliding glass door. That first name you're writing down, you remember it for a reason, Millie. Maggie gave you these names in order for a reason. She's going to be trying to find you soon. Once you find this first person on your list, all you guys need to worry about right now is write those names down. I will visit you tomorrow when I'm able to gather more strength to visit for a while longer. Spirits are sharing this energy here to communicate with others, and there's only enough to break through to the other side every so often. Mom, thank you. Okay, we won't leave here. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thank you, Mrs. McQueen. I love you. Millie hadn't said those words in forever, and it made the spirit of Vic weep as she smiled. I love you too, Millie. Wayne, I love you so much. I'm so glad you two found each other. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? I love you, Mom. Bye. See you tomorrow. Wayne strained his voice along with his eyes to see his mom as she faded away into the mirror, and the ray of light was no longer shining in through the sliding glass door that faced their backyard, which was the beautiful beach. Wayne brought Millie a journal-style notepad that had beautiful leather with branded design of birds around the border. The first name she wrote down was Janice Dougal. She put a star by it because she knew this was the person who would bring her and Wayne to Maggie. The next were in this order: Ozias Ernie, Stellan Agnello, Kizzy Amami, Mirabelle Fawn, Ron Hatman, Dandy Nithercott, Cy Zetkin, Glinda Morozov, A, just known as A, Ilik Varaz, Torbaz Shin, and Vilamus Chanda. These names are really weird, Wayne couldn't help but say. Yeah, but that doesn't matter, Wayne. Wayne gave an embarrassed look down to his feet as he felt scolded, and felt like he should have been once he realized Millie was absolutely right. No matter how weird those names were, they were proving to be good people by the two women who mattered the most in Wayne's life other than Millie. He had absolute trust in this list that Millie jotted down. She held the open journal with both hands once she was done writing down the names and extended her arms out straight, looking at these names, and read them aloud in order. Janice Dougal, Ozias Ernie, Stellan Agnello, Kizzy Emami, Mirabelle Fawn, Ron Hatman, Dandy Nithercott, Cy Zetkin, Glinda Morozov, A. Ilik Varaz, Torbos Shin, Villamus Chanda. So Janice Dougal is going to get us together with Maggie? That's right, Wayne, she will. But Millie, how do you know Janice is a girl? Janice is a woman. Maggie isn't having us meet a man first. Oh. Wayne didn't question that any further. He just believed that Millie knew. She didn't for sure or at all, but she was 100% correct. She just knew, and her hunch was right. Before they would meet Janice, they were going to be some things to come that would be a little strange and scary. Millie and Wayne had been comfortable for a good while, and that couldn't last long. The evil in the world just wouldn't allow it. This was due to the fact that Millie and Wayne were the most powerful, strong creatives ever born, and they didn't even know it. They were doing things that no one had done before without even really trying. No busted blood vessels from concentration, no discomfort from the manifestations, nothing but joyous feelings as they made their home in paradise. They went outside to enjoy the sun while it was still out. After filling their new home with all the things they could think of that they wanted, but Millie saw Wayne go too far in the ocean as the waves began to grow bigger and stronger. It had crossed her mind, seeing this, that the incorrect way to leave their paradise very well may be the ocean. This thought suddenly made the most sense to her, and she began to panic. This panic became an intense worrying, and this actual worrying was opening up the gateway to darkness that kept the possibility of darkness possible in their new land of paradise. In fact and in truth, the ocean was not the opening to bad things. It very well could have been, and maybe should have been, but that's how life is. Some things that seem obvious are not what we think, and sometimes things are more complicated than what we can see or understand. Deception is always prevailing in this world all around us, tricking and betraying our senses. This fear brought an opening from the other end, and with this opening, the other that is the good, right, and true path was there where they were. These good and bad paths multiplied around them as there was recognition of one another from these paths, because an end knows its beginning. So these paths now surrounded their paradise, and each one cloaked the other, as they designed their paradise unknowingly this way. They made themselves helpless in this manner because of their need for private vulnerability. Their taken innocence demanded it from their very souls, and their wants, along with their deepest desires to enjoy their broken lives, weren't going to let them anything else happen other than what they wanted to happen from these days forth until forever. Until forever. This was ringing out in their minds. They would be entranced until forever by their need for one another and to enjoy their lives together as long as they could. They had every right to feel entitled to this way of thinking, considering all they had lost, all that had been taken from them, and all the horrors they had seen and lived and went through from the evil that tried to permanently drain and change them into that very same evil that continued to suck the life out of them, damaging their precious innocent souls. They knew they never deserved the cruelty masked by false care. They recognized the length of damage and true evil that had overcome them. This very same fear of what they knew had opened up paths to their paradise. No matter how much they knew it could potentially destroy their paradise, Millie and Wayne just couldn't forget what they knew was out there. They knew evil quite well and too intimately. The evil they knew was all throughout the world around them. This is why they would cling so desperately to their little spot in the hidden realm of the world, in their little cubbyhole of their imagination that was more real than what anyone else could ever know. Anyone else other than those names of the people on that new list, that is. This was what strengthened Millie and Wayne in their hope to sustain and maintain their new land of paradise. They knew there were more out there like them who would help them become stronger together and safe. Safety. Feeling safe was what they needed. "Wayne, please come back, you went too far," Millie shouted until it almost became screaming and yelling at the top of her lungs. She barely restrained from the extreme. "I'm okay. I just need to swim back now. I'm coming," Wayne shouted as he dived under the waves as they grew stronger. Millie was putting her hands over her mouth in a real panic as Wayne dove under the waves to swim as fast as he could against the current. Each time he came up with his head above water to get a breather, Millie felt a huge temporary relief, only to be instantly thrown back into panic with every dive Wayne took, sending his head right back down under the waves. Wayne didn't remember how he escaped the situation. The feeling was as if he snapped out of a daydream. Wayne found himself sitting there randomly losing his senses and depth perception while this sensation had come over him. Wayne did not yet understand what was happening. His head felt fine. At one moment, it felt totally normal. Then his head would suddenly feel like a stirring iron spoon clanking and hitting inside his head instead of clanking and hitting cold glass. Wayne's head rocked with the momentum of a nanny furiously trying to put a baby back to sleep in the odd hours of the morning. That invisible spoon inside Wayne's head sat quiet. The stirring would feel to Wayne like it wasn't coming back. He would declare 3 times to Millie, until on the 3rd time she couldn't take it anymore. "It's not stopping, not till it knocks you out." Millie then began sobbing as a black door began opening over their heads. The door was the size of most of their room's ceiling above them and looked like a giant attic trap door with triangular sides that had glowing red mixed with weird purple vein-like patterns, along with some kind of green ectoplasmic aura. Wet steam rushed into their home of paradise. A low-frequency buzzing hum could be felt through the vibrational interseeding. Their eardrums began to inflame as the shaking irritated their vulnerable nerves. Millie and Wayne's vulnerability was from their naive innocence, as they were still babies in young people's bodies. The only thing they knew was that evil darkness was creeping into their paradise, and it felt like something bad was going to happen. Sure, they were getting older, yet in their minds and their mentality, Millie and Wayne were as little children. Even children that hadn't gone to grade school yet have learned things Millie had never known to be a possibility. Something as simple as mutual respect was something Millie didn't see in her daily family setting with old Charlie. Wayne and Millie both knew what it was like to have a loving mother. Millie just never had a good father figure in her life. Although Millie had never experienced what life could be like with a good man as a sincerely loving father, she absolutely did dream of what it was like. Millie wanted that so badly with her parents, convincing herself of false memories so that she wouldn't completely turn into a monster. She would dream of a time with her mom and dad that never existed. All those times she would wait for Charlie to come back to Christmas Land. In her deepest desires, Millie wanted to have a family with Wayne. All those times, all those years, little Millie never would let herself fully become a monster like her dad, Mr. Manx. Millie knew much of what her father was doing, but in all truth, he even still kept much evil acts and deeds from his precious defiled daughter. At a young age, she was defiled and didn't even know it. Physically, her innocence was taken, but not from sex. Although she was held captive and raped in other ways, like being emotionally raped, mentally raped, and spiritually raped. What did it was the subtle brainwashing and immorality of the evil energy that causes pain, death, fear, cannibalism, covetous, selfish jealousy, bitter rage, and mania that could be described as a long-lasting psychosis. The chill of night brings something sinister, especially when the change of seasons comes. The particularly significant night was far from their thoughts, as Millie and Wayne had been in their land of paradise. In blind comfortability, they had lost track of time and days. The continual beach, and before that, the continual snowy blizzards, were deceiving, to say the least. As the days passed, there was such a carefree release through their stress that neither of their minds could allow their thoughts to go back to that terrible mental prison. Millie was especially in defense mode. Wayne! Wayne was awakened from a quick nodding off as his head dropped forward in his chair from fighting sleep.